Hey, it's James Mott again, coming at you, talking this week about technical mastery. You know, over the years, I've seen hundreds of instructors and dive professionals in the water talking to students about buoyancy control on the surface. And then when you see them in the water, I mean, it takes like 30 seconds to see what we're really dealing with. Now, yes, they've got much better buoyancy control than the new students do. And I don't necessarily mean that their buoyancy is bad, right? And bad today is way different than bad when I was young and first getting into diving. I mean, bad buoyancy today isn't necessarily crashing into the bottom and silting up the entire place. I mean, it's not a good buoyancy, but that's at least something that you don't see all the time anymore, especially out of a dive professional. That part of the game is improved. But it is, bad buoyancy is still a lot of extra unnecessary movement, a lot of extra work, constant small adjustments. A diver who looks almost completely in control. And if you're going to make the move to separate yourself from the rest of all the old open water instructors out there, you need to be better than that. In a way, that's almost one of the more dangerous divers to see underwater, is that diver that's almost in control, almost perfectly in control, because they think they've got it mastered. They're not directly on the bottom. They're not totally kicking up the bottom. They can stay up and off, especially if they keep moving. I mean, most divers, as long as you're swimming forward and you have that perpetual forward motion on your side, you can look magical. Taking the time to do all those little micro adjustments to fix yourself is time where you are not in control of your students. It's time where you are not teaching. It's where you're not watching the students that you're in the water with, because you're reacting. You're not involved in the dive. You're not staying ahead of the dive. You're not proactive anymore. You're reactive. And if you're working on fixing yourself, you're not going to be able to fix a student. Technical mastery isn't just about looking good in the water. It's about eliminating the need to have to think about yourself so that you can be in complete control of everything around you. Absolute perfection in the water, head back, eyes open, all seeing, all knowing, in a way that you can truly control the situation. That's what the first pillar of this instructional evolution framework is: technical mastery. It's got nothing to do with passing a class. We've been taught as instructors to do this absolutely ridiculous, super slow, exaggerated, critical attribute focused skill that, frankly, in 2026, it looks ridiculous. Technical mastery is something pretty to watch. It's about control in the water. It's a level of control that does not disappear. I talked to you guys already about that plateau that instructors hit. There's a book that a friend of mine, Jeff, passed on to me called Mastery by George Leonard. And George Leonard talks extensively about the plateau. It's that long stretch where you feel like you've got it. You're not improving. And that's the problem with learning something. When you first learn something, the plateaus are big. They're short. You keep climbing. It feels like you're getting better and better. But the better you get at something, the shorter the rises are and the longer the runs are. So what happens with most instructors at this level is they give up. They settle into the plateau because they're not getting that big, exciting feedback anymore. There's no big breakthroughs. It's not exciting anymore. It's just The same old thing. I got it. I don't need to get any better. And that's a problem. Because most instructors, most professionals, that's where they quit. You see, that's the problem in scuba. It always has been. You learn a skill, you demonstrate it, and you pass. You get a certification. You don't ever have to do it again. It's commonly laughed on as a joke, but it's real. It's true. And then as a diver, we feel like we don't need to work on it anymore. We've got a card that shows that we can do it. So we stop practicing. We plateau. Not because we don't care, but it's because that's how the system has set us up. They've always told us that that was enough. That's all you need. See, just because you've demonstrated a skill, even slow, obnoxious, critical attribute focused movements as a professional, it doesn't mean you've mastered the skill. Mastery is what comes after you've learned it, as you continue to do it, as you make it your own. That's where the game changes. Now listen, if you're an instructor, this matters even more. Dive masters, those of you aspiring to be instructors, it really matters. Because your demonstration, your ability to perform skills is who you are. It's what people are going to emulate. And if it starts to get watered down because it was never truly developed and it was never mastered after the development, well, that's what happens to scuba, is it gets watered down over and over and over again, so that it is just a weak copy of something from way back. That's why when you watch a training dive, you still see it everywhere. Instructors who can hover, they've got buoyancy control, they just can't stay still. Who they maintain depth through their movement by moving. That's what keeps them in control. You look like you're in control until somebody starts having a problem. And then you see it immediately. They go from here, boom, to here, to on their knees again, trying to deal with a problem. Yes, if everything's great, everybody looks good, but that doesn't tell you anything. That's what I'm talking about with technical mastery. It's different than just buoyancy control. It's different than just doing a skill well. It's not about whether you can do the skill. It's not about whether or not you can flood and clear your mask and remove it and replace it neutrally buoyant. It's about, do you have to think about it? Do you have to eat up mental space by just performing it yourself, or does it just come out of you? Now that is when your buoyancy is truly mastered. You're not managing it. You're not correcting it. You're not even thinking about it. You just do it. It comes out of you because it can't not come out of you. It's better than second nature. It's instinct. That is when you've trained a skill to mastery. Now, when you have that level of control, it doesn't come from your talent because you're special. It comes because you live with a set of non-negotiables when you enter the water. Things that don't ever change on a dive. No matter what the dive is, no matter what the conditions are, no matter what the task is, it is who you are as a diver, as a dive professional, as a teacher. Okay, let's make this clear. Technical mastery is not about a collection of really good dive skills. It's a standard. It's who you are. Standards that are not based on the conditions, not based if you have your, lucky undergarments on or your special fins. It's a standard that doesn't change. It's who you are, regardless of how you're feeling that day, regardless of what the water conditions are. You either have this technical mastery and you have this standard, or you don't. First, buoyancy. It's a non-negotiable. I don't mean floating in a Buddha position. I don't mean a fin pivot. Give me a break. We're talking real buoyancy. Flat, horizontal, in trim, in control. Stay in one place. Do not move. Always. No rising, no sinking, no falling, no hand swimming. If you have to fix it, you don't have it. 2, breathing. Breathing is your buoyancy control. It is your depth control. Not your inflator, not your weighting, your breathing. The peace of mind, the calm, yogic, mental attitude, and breath control. That's what controls your buoyancy. If you're adding and dumping gas every couple minutes or every couple of seconds, you're chasing control. You don't have control. Trim is a buzzword. Everybody talks about it. Few understand it. Being horizontal, being still, being balanced in the water is a non-negotiable. Only then can you learn to break trim, and you break trim for a very specific reason, and you always come back to it because you have the control and the ability to do so. It's not just about by how it looks or why we do it because it looks cool. It's about whether you have the control in the water, whether you are moving the water or the water's moving you. That's identified by your trim. Balance is important. It shows that you don't have to keep cheating. You're not working to stay in position because you're balanced. If you pick up a camera, does your buoyancy and trim change? If you pick up a cinder block that somebody was using for an advanced class, hooking up a lift bag to it to move it out of your way, does your buoyancy and trim change? If you hand off your scooter a stage bottle or pick up weight or let weight go, do you correct it on the fly without even looking like anything has happened? That's balance. The signal you're looking for is stillness. That's what the best divers have. They look like they're not even diving at all. Boring to watch on a piece of film because they're not doing anything. They move for a reason. And when they do move, it's precise, it's controlled, and it ends exactly when they want it to end for a very specific reason, to put them in the exact position that they need to be in. And by the way, all of this happens mid-water, not on your knees, not holding on to a line, in mid-water, in control, above a soft, delicate bottom, not on your knees, not using the ground and gravity as control, not using motion and forward movement for control, but stillness. If you don't have that, if you don't have this in mid-water, you don't have control. This means you've got propulsion control, propulsion techniques, not a kick, but kicks, a menu of options. It means you don't buy a fin to help you swim easier or help you swim better. You use the tool that you have and you make it work properly without excess, without fighting. Forward, backward, rotational, pivoting from a center of gravity that you pick and choose and determine and execute. All controlled with your body mechanics and your fins to move the water, not flapping your hands, not flailing in a Hail Mary. That type of hand swimming is not a style of propulsion. It's a compensation for inadequacy. Now, there's also something to be said about an equipment philosophy. Not just using gear to take you underwater, but using gear that makes sense and makes sense long term. It's clean. It's streamlined. It's consistent. It works to your advantage, always. A minimalist approach, because every extra little thing that you add on is something else that you have to manage and think about. Now, the game of technical mastery is bringing all of this together, because when it all starts to connect, you don't have to think. It's just there. It just works always. Not sometimes, but always. That's technical mastery underwater. You're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about yourself. It's just there when you need it, because you've trained it in a way that it can't leave you. Now, this is where you become a real instructor, because you've brought all this together. And now your attention is open and you're aware of everything, because you don't have to think about any of these other pieces. Your attention is there for the environment. Your attention is there for the dive itself. Your attention is there for your students and your assistants in the water. You know what's going on. There's no question marks. You're not reacting anymore. You're ahead of the game. You're proactive. That's technical mastery. Most divers get certified and they're diving for themselves for the most part. And same thing with instructors. They become instructors because they want to do something for themselves. The true masters, the ones who've truly evolved and are in this for the long game, are doing this for everybody. They're doing it for everything around them. That's what makes them different. Now, if you want to get there, it doesn't come from taking more certification classes and gathering up more certification cards. It comes from real practice, real feedback on that practice. Finding that plateau and staying on it and working through it, even though it's a long one, because you're getting better. But you can always get better than that. And that's the difference. Most are going to give up. You know, most divers get excited right away. They take their class, they feel that improvement, and then they stop, or they work at it for a while. They push hard for a certain period of time, and then they just burn out. Or you see them, they disappear. They make it through the winter off season and they don't come back. Or they just settle and they refuse, to put in the work to get better. And they just think, yeah, this is good enough. And when you say you're good enough, that's when mastery has died. If you want mastery, you don't get it in a class. You get it in that repetitious, over and over work with constructive feedback. That's where you find it. Doing that same thing over and over until there is nothing left to fix, because if you trained it out of you, your body doesn't not know how to do it wrong. Not second nature, because underwater, when you have students in front of you, around you, in a world happening, second nature isn't good enough. These things need to be instinctive, where it takes zero thought. It just comes out of you. That's mastery. So get out there in the water. Really put yourself to the test. What do you really look like? Videotape yourself. Let me know. Let your friends know. Ask. Ask for some constructive criticism. And be honest with yourself. If you struggle with this a little bit, you have a lot of room to grow, and you can do it, because technical mastery isn't about talent. You're just born with it. It comes from repetitious, hard work that allows you to really take control because you've worked for it. Now, if you're really serious about working on this, this is where that instructor evolution assessment can come in really handy. You got to put the time in. Download it. Email me. If you want to work on this, if you really want to fix it, it's going to take a little bit of time. You don't need another class, but you do need to work with someone in the water that can help you move through this progression. Somebody who can be honest with you, that's not going to let you get away with just good enough, who can help you get to mastery. Because ultimately, that's the difference between just another instructor, just another diver, and a master. It's what you're willing to repeat, what you're willing to work on when it's boring, what you're willing to do in that off time to repeat over and over again so that it gets to that level of mastery. Hey, if you're working on this, let me know in the comments. Just type working. Or if you want to get a hold of me, let me know. Download that assessment. Send me an email, jm@mottunderwater.com. We'll help work on your technical mastery. I hope you guys like this one. Thanks.